It's 4 o'clock on Monday, January 3rd, 2022. Welcome you and officially open this meeting of Conway City Council. We're going to have an invocation and pledge of allegiance led by John R. Robinson.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to safely gather here today. Lift us our eyes to seek you first, and always surrender not only to achieve, understand, and know. Shift our perspective to seek your peace above all else. In every situation, let the Holy Spirit translate the commands. Guide us, counsel in your ways, and give them the ability to carry out your will. Give us all renewed strength and godly courage to obey you without question. Forgive us for striving beyond our means, worrying and forcing results. Keep us, protect us, but also give us the boldness to go forth into this new world with courage and determination. All this we ask through your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the City Council, this important night for the City Council. I've been blessed to serve on this council for a number of years. I've served with mayors Ike Long, Greg Martin, and Alice Dawson. The council members Mickey Webb, Ike Long, Vivian Chestnut, Bill Brown, Chip Brown, Leslie McIver, Tom Anderson, Irving Coon, Randy Alford, and most recently Shane Hubbard and Gene Tennis. The contributions made by all those people have helped us to become the vibrant and wonderful city that Conway is. And tonight we welcome 2 new members. The administration of oaths will take place at this time.
We have to be solemnly swear that I am duly qualified.
I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified,
According to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
to exercise the duties of the office.
to exercise duties of the office,
And I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof.
discharge the duties thereof,
Preserve, protect, and defend
and preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state and of the United States.
the Constitution of this state, and the United States.
As a council member of the city of Conway,
As a council member of the city of Conway,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust reposed in me.
exercise the trust reposed in me.
And I will use my best endeavor
I will use my best endeavor
to preserve peace and carry into effect,
to preserve the peace and carry into effect,
according to law,
according to law,
purposes to which I have been elected.
purposes to which I have been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified
I do solemnly swear that I will be qualified
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution of this state.
to exercise the duties of the office that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the state of the United States. as a council member of the city of Conway. I will equally, fairly, and impartially, to the best of my ability and skill, exercise the trust reposed in me, and will do my best endeavor to preserve the peace and fairness of the day. And will do my best endeavor to preserve the peace and carry it to according to law. Purpose for which I have been declared. So help me. God.
I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of this state to exercise the duties of the office which I have been elected. I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof. Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States. Council member of the city of Conway, I will equally, fairly, and impartially, to the best of my ability and skill, exercise trust and oath to use my best endeavor to preserve peace and carry into effect, according to law, the purposes for which I have been elected.
Thank you all and welcome to the Conway City Council. We've set aside about 10 minutes. Jeff, you might want to set the timer. People who are social like me could do this all evening, but there is a small reception plan. You'll find some refreshments and we'll give everybody a chance to congratulate the new members. forward with the business at hand. Item 4 on the agenda for today is, I'm sorry, item 5, approval of the agenda. What is the board council? So is there a second? What? Second. We're properly seconded motion to approve the agenda. All in favor, show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. And now for approval of the consent agenda. Sorry, is there a second?
Second.
So properly seconded motion to also approve the consent agenda. All in favor, show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7, election of mayor pro tem for 2022. Mr. Goldman.
Mayor, this time I would move that we, will make a motion that Benjamin Alexander Hyman be the mayor pro tem for 2022.
I never knew. That was really. Benjamin Alexander Hyman. We have a motion, right? Absolutely. That's been properly seconded. I'm assuming there'll be no discussion. All in favor of Mr. Benjamin Alexander Hyman being made mayor pro tem, let's show hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Item 7 is public input. This is an opportunity for anyone to approach this council with almost anything, the exception being that has to do with an individual employee. Of course, would have to be taken up in a more private venue. I have 2, also your comments are restricted to 5 minutes. That will be shown on the board in front of you so that you can keep up with your time. Also, public input is not interactive. It is rare that you'll get an answer directly from this dais or from anyone. We'll probably hand you somebody's business card so that you'll know who to speak to later. Every now and then, it's extremely simple. I or somebody else might just answer your question. But I know that Mike Clausen and Howard Richardson are here to speak under public input. We'll hear you in that order. If you would please make sure you speak directly into the mic. People in the rear often have difficulty hearing you. And if you would begin, please, by giving us your name and your address, that would be very helpful. Mr. Clausen, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Michael Conway. I live off of Long Avenue Extension 2589, Long Avenue Extension. My wife and I moved to Conway the past decade, and we've resided off of Long Avenue Extension for approximately 7 years now. Long Avenue was repaved and resurfaced recently, which we sincerely appreciate. Unfortunately, that has only exacerbated the problem of excessive speed and infractions on Long Avenue. Because speed limit there is 35 miles an hour. Folks routinely daily exceed that. Once they turn the make a left off of the intersection, country club Long Avenue, they floor it basically. And speed infractions are quite common. Residents with small children live off of Long Avenue. Our esteemed city auditor, Ms. Earl, who passed away recently, has grandchildren that visit and play off of Long Avenue. It's a concern of mine. I'm a retired law enforcement officer after 25,000 years. And I believe we can do better. I believe our law enforcement can do better. My wife and I contacted local law enforcement on numerous occasions and pleaded for help and assistance with this. Unfortunately, those concerns have all been ignored. I can count on less than one hand the time that I see vehicles pulled over for speed infractions. We've asked for better enforcement. We've asked that they be controlled and, like a better word, speed trap set up on a gate. All we've really received is a large box radar sign that posts speed limit.
goes on for 2 weeks. And once folks realize that nothing will occur, there'll be no penalty for speed limit infractions, it's pretty much basically useless. We can do better. Local leadership and I believe the responsibility of any government body is the protection and safety of its citizens they serve. Conway, city of Conway, feels better. That's one of the main reasons why I moved back and retired. Unfortunately, statistics show that 1 out of 24 citizens in Conway will possibly be the victim of a violent crime. They're in the state that we can do better. Tangible, real change has to happen. I appreciate the time of the city council. Another concern that I have, and my neighbor, Mr. Richard, will speak to it, is the increase in crime, vehicle break-ins, property theft, those occurrences that are increased on that corner dramatically. I'm aware of some infractions, one theft occurred recently at 3 a.m. A vehicle was broken into in a firearm state. It took 20 minutes for a response. That leaves citizens in a bad situation of taking care of it on their own. We're supposed to be in a compromising position. 20-minute response time, 3 a.m. for a vehicle theft or a farm mistake is unacceptable. We can do better, and hopefully change, real tangible change will happen, and we will do better. Again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration. I sincerely hope that positive change will occur. My wife and I and other citizens that live in that area tolerate patience for years now. Our tolerance and patience is growing thin. I'm pursuing this at this level. Hopefully, again, tangible change happens. I will be persistent in my endeavor to have change, maybe just as speed limit infractions that obviously been persistent in that area. Again, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Mr. Howard Richardson.
I believe Mayor Council. My name's Howard Richardson. I reside at 2588 Long Avenue, which was at four-way stop, country club Long Avenue. Built there 3 years ago. We have 3 homes there. New one was just finished, but go back 3 years ago. First incident I had was a trailer was stolen from a yard. Then go back about a year and a half ago, maybe a year, we had massive break-in. There was multiple homes that were broken into, outbuildings broken into, vehicles broken into at that time. I do think there was a arrest made at that time. Then go back about 6 months ago, 6-8 months ago, 9:30 p.m. at night. My mother lives next door to me. Heard a loud noise outside. It was a vehicle muffler. Thought someone was in my driveway. I opened the door. The vehicle was in between 2 houses, loading up some of my mother's personal property off of her deck. So when the individual seen me, they jumped in the car, put the car in drive, and tried to run over. Went inside, on the phone to 911. Bunch of questions as usual, which I think delays response time. This went on for 30 minutes. I actually followed the individuals because my mother's property was on the trailer at the time. I met them head on with a confrontation in the yard, in the middle of the road at the neighborhood across the street. And I did have a weapon on me. It was under my waistband. The individual driving the vehicle did have a firearm in his hand in the console. Actually, got the guy that takes out the gun outside. We were talking, waiting on the police to still come and arrive. Never showed up. Door slammed behind me, got my attention. away from the guy driving the vehicle. When that happened, the guy jumped back in the vehicle, put it back in drive, and tried to run over me the second time. So I did put my weapon out. I fired, was going to fire in the vehicle, but I did not because there was a passenger in the vehicle with me. So I fired over the top of the vehicle, hoping that that was going to deter it from running over me, and it did. Police arrived about 30 minutes later. Police did arrive. Things went on. I stayed fired my gun, then the detectives arrived. So then we went over to my home. So about 1:30 in the morning, I had to surrender my firearm, hire an attorney to protect myself because I was putting my job as a jeopardy. So as a result, after hiring an attorney, there was a deal worked out. Everything was dropped. $5,000 later, got my gun back. Everything was okay. 3 weeks ago, on December 12th, 3 o'clock in the morning, there's 8 officers on duty in the city of Conway at that time. I made the first phone call at 3:05. About 8 minutes later, I made the second phone call to 911 to let them know that the folks that were on my video were back in front of my house, still in the neighborhood. So at that time, police were nowhere in sight. They walked down. There was a little jut out in front of Lois Oracle's house. There was a red pickup backed up in there. The individuals got in the red pickup. About the time they were getting out of sight, the rear swamp at the corner, police pulls up. So I tell them that that's the vehicle. So they went in pursuit. About 3 minutes later, the vehicle come back on my house at 85 miles an hour or more. Run the 4-way stop, went into town to Trinity Methodist Church. No one was fighting. So I ran into you at UPS store, told you what had happened. Was hoping that you were still responding to the email that I sent to you. Instead, you responded to Mr. Paulson that 20 minutes was acceptable for that kind of infraction. For me as a homeowner, I don't think 20 minutes is acceptable. When you've been violated, your stuff stolen, your house broken into, whatever the fact may be, you're standing there, as Mr. Paulson said, you're now on your own. I just want to know to what we can do. I know that police need more officers. I think we have 70, maybe on staff. Probably another 34 more. So I would hope that council will put together in the public safety budget coming up, there's more officers there. So they can do their job, so they protect us as citizens. Because it's going to happen again. The question is when. But I can guarantee my next phone call will not be to the city police for help. This is going to be taken care of. That's the way I feel, because I've been property been stolen, property's damaged, and it's got to come to a stop nowhere. So y'all take that into account.
So, is there anyone else that would like to speak at this time? Just 1 second. Yes, sir. We'll have a public hearing in the future. Anyone else, please? If you want to speak about the annexation, please come up with your information. Anyone else? There being no other comments?
Mayor, I'm going to close public input.
Properly seconded, motion to close public input at this time. All in favor, show your hands. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is special presentations. Item 9. A presentation of longevity awards, December 2021. We have Administrator Adam Henry And I've asked our new Mayor Pro Tem to distribute the awards that come along with these successes.
In 2001,
Benjamin, I'm sorry, Benjamin.
In 2001, our city council created a program to recognize employees on certain milestones of the city of Conway. And those are recognized in each increment of 5 years of the city. Tonight, we're happy to recognize 4 employees for their milestones. First, we're going to do Glenn Black. I saw Glenn, there he is. Glenn was hired in December 12, 2016 as a utility electrician crew leader. He was previously employed by the city of Conway from March of 2008 to July of 2016. So Glenn, thank you for coming back to the city and for your 5 years. Thank you. Next up is Anthony Pena, Spark Club. Spark Club is celebrating 15 years for the city of Conway. He was hired in 2006 as an auto mechanic at the shop. And he is very valued by everyone in the city. And hopefully he's back here. Are you back? Yeah, not yet. We'll keep on. Thank you. Next up is Ben Lawson. So Lawson was hired as a police officer in 2016, was promoted to senior police officer in 2019, and promoted to corporal in this year, 2021. So thank you, Officer Lawson, for 5 years of city council. And finally, tonight is one of our deputy city administrators, John Rogers. John celebrated 5 years with the city of Conway. In 2016, he was hired as a branch coordinator, promoted to director of grants and special projects in 2019, and promoted to deputy city administrator and grants and projects director in 2019. John, thank you for 5 years at the city.
Thank you so much. And congratulations. Item D, request to add 1/100 acres of property located at 2908 4th Avenue, PIN 36808030006, from City of Conway, Low Density Residential District, the Jamestown Baptist Plan Development. D.
The applicant seeks to rezone the approximately 1 acre parcel from Ferry to the Revitalization district. The larger 9.4 acre parcel was rezoned to a highway district in 2016 to accommodate a new church site that would contain 10.4 acres in size in a 2-phase development. The first phase includes the main church and future additional builds. Until recently, the 1 acre now proposed to be zoned to a PV, which you can see there, outlined to you. That recently, tradition of the demolition panel, discovered that the parcel for tax assessment purposes and non-actual property. The city's policy is that subdivides all actual property boundaries. And since learning that the map line shape between the 2 church parcels is not an actual staff requested that the church extend the plan development to the full property, which would be consistent with the PD narrative that was actually part of the request in 2016. And both parcels equal the 10.4 acres. And this is just on the issue of the workshop tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much. Are there questions or issues that should be raised at this time? You seem to be none, but we'll be talking more. Thank you so much, Ms. Simmons. Item 10, public hearing and first reading. Public hearing and first reading of ordinance CA 2020-20118 to annex 40 and 700 acres of property located at 237 West Ferry Road. PINs 38200000005 and 3820902 0001 and rezone from Oregon County Commercial Forest Agriculture. The city of Conway looked at city residential for the purpose of designing and constructing a new single-family residential neighborhood. Ms. Rice.
These two tracts included in the annexation was in the policy about 1 acres. The applicant proposed to develop the property using a conservation subdivision design, which is permitted by right in the R1 zoning district to create 131 single family lots. The intent of the R1 district is to provide for the preservation and expansion of areas of low to medium density residential, detached single family residential development. The district presents a relatively spacious character, promotes quiet and movement, and businesses that are incompatible with the residential nature of the surrounding area. Planning Commission considered this request after the May 30 meeting, and concerns regarding the increased traffic and roadway conditions were discussed. Ultimately, Planning Commission recommended approval of the annexation and rezoning. With regard to utilities, the properties are within the city's water service area, but sewer would be provided by Brightstone Sewer because the property abuts property in city limits and is within the city's water service area. Annexation is required to be requested. The subject properties are currently in the jurisdiction zoned commercial forest agriculture, but they are surrounded by property already in the city on three sides. However, the adjacent city zoning is forest agriculture and conservation preservation, neither of which would permit the development of a residential subdivision consisting of the number and size of lots proposed. The FA district intends to establish preserved areas designated for agriculture uses and passive recreational activities. The conservation preservation district provides needed open space, outdoor and indoor recreational uses, and protects environmental areas, as well as floodplain areas from the encroachment of residential, commercial, industrial, or other uses that are capable of adversely affecting the relatively undeveloped character of the district. The city's 2029 future lands map shows the parcels identified as conservation preservation. The surrounding parcels that are zoned FA and CP are also part of the Waterfall National Wildlife Refuge, and the Cox Ferry Lake Recreation Area abuts the subject property proposed for development. Staff has spoken to a representative for the refuge who does have concerns with the potential environmental impacts associated with the development of the surrounding parcels. Other concerns noted include traffic along West Cox Ferry Road, especially with Palm Charter School located just up from the subject property, along with cut-through traffic from Highway 501 and traffic associated with Coastal Carolina University and Horry Georgetown Technical College. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goldsmith.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So the only thing that makes this contiguous to the city of Conway is the conservation preservation property that surrounds it. There's no other developed property that would make this contiguous. So this would sort of almost be an island unto itself.
Well, it's by three sides, it's surrounded by the refuge property, and that's either forest agriculture. And here's a map actually of the Waccamaw National Wildlife Refuge area. So as you can see where the star, that's the subject property. So on three sides, it's surrounded by property that is owned by the refuge and will not be developed. So in that sense, yes, sir. The closest development that the city has is Meadow Farms, which is a little further up. It's a modular home development.
And that's adjacent to the Palm School, correct?
Across the street, yes.
Yeah.
So is the use of city water the reason that this property would need to be included in, become a part of the city in order for the development to take place?
Yes, ma'am. The city's water service does extend to the end of West Cox Ferry Road, and the fact that it is contiguous with property already in the city or zoned in the city would require them to request the annexation and rezoning.
Any other questions or comments by council?
Madam Mayor, this is a public hearing.
Yes, thank you so much for the reminder. And I was just about to open it up for input from the public. I know that two people sort of indicated that they were here for that reason. I don't see them, right, that gentleman in the back with the black sweater. Let's hear from him first, and in no particular order, you'll all have an opportunity to speak. Okay. Ma'am, you want to come on forward? You may. If you please speak real clearly into the mic, and if you start by giving us your name and address, please.
My name is Georgia Bryant, 1391 West Cox Ferry Road. And I'm here to, hopefully, the annex will not take place. We are on a country road, 2 lanes, that we have no access other than a shortcut road to 501 and access to US 544. If this annex went through with 131 homes, surely there's going to be more cars, like almost 200 cars on this county road with no place else to go. Excuse me. And we have infrastructure problems. Our house alone is at the end of the road. And if they take away all the forestry in that, the water has nowhere to go but downhill, and we are at the end of the hill. Water would run over our property and under our crawl space, which we only have 4 feet. And during the flooding of 2018, we had 3 feet of water under our house. So I have a letter here, excuse me, from my neighbor. I would like to read to the council. Dear County Council and City of Conway Planning Department, I am writing this letter with grave concerns in regard to the rezoning request submitted to 1237 West Cox Ferry. I applaud the 8 concerns stating in the letter sent to me on December 23rd. We too moved to the quiet community of Cox Ferry for a reason and do not elect to be a part of the City of Conway. I also have additional observations that need serious consideration. Our infrastructure on West Cox Ferry cannot tolerate any more growth, nor does it serve us well in the time of emergency. Because of traffic problems that already exist in trying to exit or enter properties at the corner of the connector to Highway 544 and West Cox Ferry Road due to an unchecked solid stream of traffic from 501 tourists, CCU personnel and students and athletic events, the flow of traffic from St. James Catholic Church and school, the Palm School traffic from the Yellow Handle Mobile Home Park, the Wildlife Refuge traffic, and traffic from the Meadow Lawn subdivision. We are overwhelmed. Can you believe that another housing project has started up behind 774 West Cox Ferry? Since we are now in an unprecedented time of climate change, flooding, hurricanes, and forest fires, and more frequent. In a time of emergency, our neighborhood would be in great danger if 131 units are constructed emptying onto West Cox Ferry Road. For example, in Hurricane Florence, we were trapped when authorities reversed 501 and 544 to flow one way out of the beach. Families on Cox Ferry Road could not get out to get emergency supplies or move their household possessions to safer ground before the flood. Think how difficult that would be with our community population doubled, and if even quicker action is required to save lives. Something must be done to address these problems with the infrastructure before any growth continues. Praying for a wise decision, Janet Inman Haig. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Council and Mayor. My name is Jeff Cox. I live at 1191 West Cox Ferry Road. It's the property just before the property in question, 1237. So I have just a few things we've accumulated from talking to the neighbors on the street we'd like to share with the council. First, we'd like to share that we have a lot of people are here from the neighborhood, from the street, but it's really a small portion compared to what would be here because of the way, understandably, the the rules are written for posting the notices. We are a dead end road. So the property in question is at almost the very end of the dead end road. So they posted the sign giving notice, and they also send out the letters to the property owners that are within 200 yards, but that was 4 of us right there. And so all of the neighbors along the street, all the way to the beginning, knew nothing about the project. And when we received the letter, it just said low density. So we had heard it was going to be 40 homes on 40 acres. And, that sounds reasonable because that's what most of our homes already are. So we weren't too upset about it, weren't too worried. Then we heard 131. And so we tried to get the word out to the rest of the neighbors along the street because they bear the brunt of that traffic that they're talking about. I'm at the very end, so we don't see it unless we're trying to get out onto 544. So there'd be more people here. A lot of our neighbors have COVID or on vacation, and it's just not a great time of year for them to try to get here. So no one wants 131 new homes on their dead end street where you guys live, right? It's just not something you would probably say, hey, let's do this. We understand that. But I also, our biggest difference is that we are not a thoroughfare. It is a dead end road. So issues like this just kind of multiply and get exponentially bad. They mentioned the Palm School. We've got 100 kids there. It's interesting and fun seeing them drive in and out each day. It makes some traffic at the end of the road adventurous watching them shoot across there. But sooner or later, we'll get a red light or a roundabout or something. It'll get better. We understand that the city council's responsibility is not to try to make everybody happy. Traffic is just part of growth and it's part of life. But when this circumstance, we're not seeing that there's any positive coming from a decision to approve this. It's not solving a problem. It's not moving traffic from somewhere else to here. It's not solving any other issues. It's just creating a new one for the residents on this street, okay? In this situation, we believe that everyone has concerns and worries about the impact that this large of a development is going to have on our dead end road and the community living there. It doesn't solve any problems, like I mentioned. All right, in this instance, I did all the research to see, what does the city's guidelines say about something like this? You guys in this instance have a great plan, a long-term plan. You have a comprehensive plan, a natural resources element, a land use element, and a future land use map. Everything I found showed a clear plan of trying to keep this area, anything close to the river that's natural, trying to preserve it. We've got plenty of other places to put development, so that's what we'd like to do. We think you've got a clear vision for that preservation of these limited natural resources. Again, the Waccamaw River and the wildlife refuge being the biggest issue. The comprehensive plan says the primary goal is to protect, preserve, and monitor the natural resources of Conway and Horry County in order to achieve and maintain a sustainable community. That's in your plan. The previous mayor, Ms. Elise Lawson, said, you either save it while it can be saved, or it's gone forever for development. While development is important, it's not what is planned for these pristine natural areas which surround Conway. She was, of course, talking about the big parcel you guys bought near the marina along with the refuge. She also said that the project would be helpful with the long-term goal to build a green space connection between the city and coastal Carolina. And that also goes with the maps that we show of the bike lanes and everything trying to connect the city. The future land use map that's on page 3 of that handout we created clearly identifies the areas nearest the Waccamaw River and the preserve. And they show that this particular property is just an island. The red dot on the map is all by itself, and it's so far from the rest of the development. So clearly it doesn't fit into what looks to be a very well thought out plan that the city and the planning department did previously. I have just one more, sorry. Being three-sided, the planning department mentioned being 3 sides surrounded by the Waccamaw area. That's our biggest concern, is that pristine area it just doesn't make sense. I don't know of any other national refuges where there's a big housing development in the middle of this natural space that's been purchased and set aside for the community. Ultimately, we believe that your plan says that you will basically follow that plan, or you at least have to amend the plan before you can approve this project. It says that in the comprehensive plan. I've got the quote is in those documents. So we're not looking for you to change the
All
plan
right,
because we
Mr.
think it's a
Cox, I
great
need you
plan.
to pull it together.
Okay.
Is there anything else you need to say just in closing?
We just want to ask you guys, please follow the plan because it's a great plan. And you again, like the previous mayor said, you can't get that land back. And so if we, I don't want to keep Steve from being able to sell his property, but let's come up with a better way to make it fit. Please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this issue? How do you do?
Hello.
If you'd start with your name and address.
My name
please.
is Julie Cochran. I live at 367 Frail Lane, which is just off of West Cox Ferry Road. I've been there since May. Previously, I lived on Holt Road, which is adjacent to Cox Ferry, and is the only other road that you can get out to 544 from West Cox Ferry or Holt Road. I lived there for 15 years, so I'm very familiar with the area. My main concern is about the wildlife preserve and the traffic. It is almost impossible to make a left turn from West Cox Ferry Road onto 544 at rush hour or anytime in the summer. My own mother was in an accident a few years ago trying to get out from those intersections. And it's only going to get worse. I've been here for 35 years. I moved here from Ohio. I'm not here to tell you how we did it up north because I love South Carolina. I love the laid back feeling in Horry County, and I love Conway. It's charming. It's still a small town, in my opinion. I'm a member of the community. I'm a member of the Conway Celtic Pipers. If you've heard bagpipes, that's me. So, I mean, I love this town and I want to try to keep it as much the same as when I moved here 35 years ago as we can. I understand development. I've developed properties myself in the past, but I've always took into consideration the surroundings. Where I could have put half-acre lots, I put 2-acre lots, just because I don't like cutting down trees and taking that away from the wildlife. This property on 3 sides is bordered by the wildlife preserve, and it's a buffer. There's a creek that runs across the back of this property that you can see from the Red Trail in Cox Ferry Preserve. They just opened that a couple years ago to the public, and it's wonderful. There's ponds, there's egrets, there's wood ducks. I was there last Saturday on New Year's Day and took a walk through there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's quiet, it's pristine. Well, not pristine, as much as it can be. You can still hear sirens way in the distance occasionally, but it's a beautiful property. And the wildlife doesn't know the borders. They don't know the boundaries. The back 2/3 of this property, that the subject property, is part of their habitat. It's part of their ecosystem. They don't know to go around. I ride my bicycle down Cox Ferry Road all the time. I've seen deer run across in front of me, wild turkeys. There's also the wildlife preserve on the opposite side of Cox Ferry Road. So that corridor, they have to cross the road. If you put 131 houses there, it will adversely affect all of that. And also the people that like to go to the preserve for the peace and quiet. We don't have a lot of that available in the Conway area that's close by. So the people that like to go there and enjoy the quiet, it's going to be ruined. We just opened those trails a couple of years ago, and you're going to have car doors, music blaring, kids screaming, all of that. People practicing bagpipes, stuff like that. So I am just, please, we started this meeting with a prayer, and I would like to remind us all to think of what God would like us to do. We are caretakers of this area. We're caretakers of the environment and our town. And I'm asking you to take all that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll hear one other person and then I'll probably just ask for a show of hands of the number of people who are here.
Well, thank you for hearing from me.
Absolutely.
My name is Allison McQuarrie. I live at 1008 Weldon Lane in that modular community. So my property is actually part of the city of Conway. You were talking about police response earlier. We had a drunk driving incident where a gentleman hit a tree after probably having way too much. And 16 years as a paramedic, I think I'm a pretty good judge of what is too much. And it took 45 minutes for the police to show up to West Cox Ferry. Because in my heart, I believe that it was a fight over jurisdiction. Well, where are they? And is that us or is that county? Or so now 131 new properties is just going to exacerbate that problem. Now, everyone is talking about West Cox Ferry and the intersection with 544. I invite each of you to take a ride down there and then try to turn left and come back on 501. Do it at rush hour. Good luck. Okay. Next, I'm going to mention that South Carolina DNR has a species of bird that I have seen fly over my own house off of West Cox Ferry called the swallowtail kite. It is listed as endangered in the state of South Carolina, according to South Carolina DNR. So I want to know what sort of impact, environmental impact study has been done and how this is going to affect the breeding grounds for these birds. The breeding grounds include South Carolina. They like the height of the pine trees. They build their nests over 100 feet high if they possibly can in an area that is safe, quiet, and close to a food source. These birds do mate for life. Their lifespan is approximately 6 years. A lot of the ones that we see here are primarily in the spring, which is their breeding season. They come up from South America. So they are a migratory raptor, which is becoming more and more scarce. In the US, South Carolina and Texas both have it listed as endangered. In Georgia, it's noted to be rare. Coastal US, the Southeast and the Southwest are the only regions left for these birds. And there's been a noted decline of over 80% in the 20th century, excuse me. So what sort of impact is the deforestation for 131 new homes going to cause on the breeding process for these birds? I was not able to find any information on what size range they like for their nesting grounds. I know different birds have different nesting needs. Ospreys are pretty close together, bald eagles are not. So I'm not sure about that. So I think a wildlife impact survey would be a good thing to take a look at. I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just so I'm true to what I said, how many of you are here to voice your opinion against this from happening? I'm going to count really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So noted. We could have all of you speak. But is there anyone who would like to say anything that has not been heard yet? Yes, sir, please.
Insurance. My name is Steve Dunn. I own the property that is being protested. I was born and raised here in Conway, South Carolina, 3 blocks from here. My family's owned this property for 125, almost 130 years. I'm 71 years old. Me and my wife wanted to sell the property to retire. There's too much property for me to take care of anymore. I'm getting too old. I know all these folks are here. I know it's tearing their hearts out. They all were friends. Probably not anymore. But, I don't want to sell the property, but I have to because I'm getting old and we want to move towards, get closer to our grandchildren and live out the rest of our life a little more comfortably because of the sale of this property. Now, Mr. Cox has come up with all kind of reasons. And I can say in my heart, I don't believe the reasons he's telling you is what he really feels. He's been my neighbor for 20, 25 years, I guess. We're not close. But he likes to collect junk, and he's parked his junk on my property for 20, 25 years, still on my property. If y'all like to see the pictures, I've taken pictures yesterday. He has a building on my property. I've never said a word to him. Just tried to be a good neighbor. Y'all like to see the pictures of the messes he's parked on my property.
Well, the reason,
25
I don't
years.
think that'll be helpful. We don't know anything about property lines there.
Well, he's
And
talking
it's,
about property values and
yes, sir, but we just want to hear
Don't see the
your
property.
take
Okay,
on
well,
the issue before us.
I just don't believe, he's the one that spearheaded this whole deal, trying to stop this deal, and I just don't think that's his total concern. But anyway, what y'all decide determines how my wife and I and our children enjoy the rest of our retirement. We're into short roads. Like I said, I'm 71 years old. So that's the reason I'm selling, is to try and retire. Tripp Neely does excellent work as far as developments. If anybody's really looked at the development plan, it's really nice. I was in that business for 43 years. I know he does good work. I don't think it's going to hurt the community. The traffic problems, look around, it's everywhere. The only way anything will be cured at 544 is for the state and the county to get off their butts and do something. It's got nothing to do with those 131 houses they want to build, just in my opinion, because it's terrible now. So if it gets worse, then you actually have more people go up there and complain and get something done. I mean, I ain't no genius, but I could reroute those roads and make it work a lot better than these so-called engineers that's running the traffic around here now. But anyway, that's enough. It's in your hands. I hope you approve it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Are you for the annexation? Oh, yes, sir. Of course you are. I'm sorry. Took me a second to recognize you.
Congratulations on you guys. Listen, I'm not ever a popular guy in this room when we build houses, and I knock down trees for a living. I do, when it's change comes about in people's lives, there's always going to be opposition to it. I put together a plan for council. I spent the money on topo and a land plan, and also a tree survey of all the trees that are on this piece of property. Because I live here in Horry County and I hunt and fish, and I also believe in the environment, even though I am a developer. I've lived here since birth and I know this land really well. The traffic issues, I live on Riverside Drive. That is a one-way in and one-way out street. It is a blessing from God. You know, people don't have a business down there unless they're on our road. And 9 times out of 10, we know that. But somebody goes to steal or break into something, another 9 times out of 10, they ain't gonna go down a one-way road to do that. This is, if you look at where this is at, even with the complaints and stuff, this is probably a couple miles from Coastal Carolina football stadium. You know, the plan that we presented, it shows a conservation plan. And what we did that for is we have a 100-foot buffer around the whole property that we're talking about in question. You know, this is something that from an access standpoint, you know, I've lived around here, like I said, all my life. Whenever we have a hurricane or something, there is several ways out from this property. When you get off West Cox Ferry Road, you can go to about a Coca-Cola plant. You can go straight out, go by 90, get on 22. You can go to 544, get on 22. You can go to 501, get on, 31. But there's a lot of different ways for evacuation at that point. And, you know, the trees on there, we're not going to end up with 131 lots here because there's some of the trees, when I did the tree survey, I actually walked the property myself, looked at it and took into consideration, you know, how beautiful the oak trees are on that property. I told my engineer for us to do roundabouts in the middle of them, we're going to lose a lot of lots doing that. But I think we could preserve those trees that are in question, you know, to make this thing really pretty. We've got a wetland letter already on this property. It's, you know, we got it from the Corps engineer, so we're not guessing where the lines are or where these creeks go or anything. When we have to engineer this property, we've got to be able to contain 12 inches of rain on this property for 24 hours before any of it leaves by engineering standards where this is done. You know, if anything, that would help with flooding. This is a sandy piece of property. It's not a mud hole or anything. It's a hill. And I just think that what I'm proposing here makes a lot of sense. The other thing in the real estate market right now that scares me in this town is, you know, I've been in the building business all my life. And the real estate market, you know, 2 or 3 times it's got to get rich quick thing. And then the market busts and we don't have a downturn in our economy. We have houses that don't fit the working environment. With the density and what I've got this property under contract for, I can build houses for working people right here on this property, a couple miles from Coastal Carolina University, and in a safe environment with a plan that functions and meets the criteria of what we're talking about doing. I'd like to have you vote on it and have a chance to do this. If there's any way I can improve it, we got a third council reading. I'd meet with anybody here one-on-one, including any of the people within the residence. If we want to have a community meeting, whatever it is, I try to be a stand-up dude, and I don't try to run from anything. And if there's any way I can do a better job, I want to know it. Appreciate you voting.
Thank you, sir. I'll just ask, is there anyone else present who would have spoken in favor of the annexation? So noted. I move that we, pardon me, sir? I'm sorry, are you for or against, sir? You for, all right, one more, just one more person. Give us your name and address, please.
Name's Dan Park. I'm with Earthworks Group. I actually did the design here with the 130 lots. If you guys have any questions, I'd like to hear them. I can answer any questions you guys might have. That's all I really want to say for it.
Okay.
Anybody? You guys good?
Please.
Yeah.
If we don't annex this property, can you still organize them?
I believe the water was the reason for the annexation.
I understand that, but it doesn't, you had to actually annex it because of architect. But if we didn't annex the property, we would rent it in owner up or not. This property was on for it, so it was still use the property or sell the property without it being city.
Ms. Helms, I had the same question. I think that should probably be directed to our staff.
When I can wait till public hearings closed.
Yes, okay, but great question. Mr. Hyman. All right, thank you, sir. We have a properly seconded motion to close public input at this time. All in favor of the show of hands. Motion carries unanimously. And Ms. Helms, would you restate your question, please?
I understand annexation, application is because it's contiguous. Not for an annexation, doesn't mean the owner or the developer couldn't approve on development. So if we don't annex it, can they still do the Ward counties on it and still have a subdivision?
Yes, if the city denies the annexation, the developer could do 2 things. They could seek to go ahead and develop the property as it's currently zoned in the county as CFA. CFA, if my memory serves me correctly, allows a minimum lot size of 1/2 acre. So they could get roughly 2 per acre with the current county zoning, or they could seek a rezoning at the county level. They would have to sign restrictive covenants through the city in order to receive city water services. So in the future, if the city wanted to annex the property, they could. But yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? This is not only a public hearing, but also first reading, I believe. What is the will of the council? I'm sorry, sir.
Were you taking another input as far as questions for her or me?
Actually, we've already closed the public input section. I'm sorry, sir. All right, thank you so much.
Will public people have any further input in the other readings of this? This will go further down.
Second time, just 1 second, let me check with staff. Do we have public input at our second?
If it's a unanimous vote in favor, it would be on consent. So public input would
Then
come
it wouldn't
after.
happen.
If there's a split vote, it would be on for consideration, unless the split vote goes in favor of denial, in which case it would not appear on a future agenda.
Right. I'm gonna try to restate what he just said. If the request is denied tonight, then there won't be a public hearing. Is that correct? Okay, and if the first reading is approved unanimously, it wouldn't come up, it would be on the consent agenda, so there wouldn't be public input. If it was approved just by a majority, then it would be, there would be an opportunity to speak. Was that complicated enough?
I sincerely wish you would allow other people to also weigh in.
Sir, what I did was take a poll. There's really no need to hear the same message any more times. Sir, I think we do, sir. I'm sorry. I think we had 4 people speak. I asked how many people agreed with them. The count was 17. We understand it. If nothing else, we understand that the majority of the people who are here are against the annexation. We don't need to hear everybody's take on it. So that is closed, sir. The public input section is now closed. I'm sorry, it's done. We just don't have the latitude to go on and on with this. I'm sorry. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir, you're out of order. You're out of order, sir. You're out of order. This is a meeting of the city council. There was an opportunity for people to speak. We had a number of people speak and everybody else had a chance to weigh in. 3 people spoke in favor, 4 people spoke against, with 17 other people saying that they were against it. I think we understand what we're doing here. I will now call a vote. Mr. Hyman.
Mayor, I just want to comment. I wrote out the property today. I didn't go with, I don't know who said it, had to heard it 5. I did go 3, and it was crowded. It kind of causes a conundrum for us on council in that if it remains the way it is right now, CFA, facility development, one of the big differences of that, and Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, is it can be clear. It's part of writing that.
The county has some tree preservation ordinances, but they're not as strict as ours.
Right. And so it's a situation where if it's not annexed, then it's probably less restrictive. If it is annexed, nobody's happy with that either. One of the big concerns I had, maybe you can speak about this. I saw in our issue paper, we had some concerns about law enforcement getting out there and putting stress on our law enforcement and the fire. So can you address that?
Well, number one, we already have an existing subdivision on West Cox Ferry, which I think was discussed. It is a unique situation in that it is a dead end street that we are not driving past to get to other members of other service areas. We are sort of pushing our extent in a new direction, even though it's back toward ourselves, because we're driving down a road that normally we wouldn't have to drive down. So from a fire protection standpoint, from a police protection standpoint, from a garbage service pickup, we're pushing our envelope. Again, even though it's closer to our boundaries, existing boundaries, it's in a way that we normally would not have to go that far. So it does extend our services beyond where we are now. And it would be a bit of a burden on the system to do so. I believe in your packet, you saw, at least I think from the police chief, that it is an extension of our service that we are not currently having to serve with any regularity because there's not calls to the refuge very often.
Well, just one other thing on that, given the conservation and preservation around it, doesn't appear that
that area will be growing as far as houses.
Correct. Other than this property, there's not a whole lot of vacant tracks on the street in that area. The other point is it is within our fire service area. It does not extend beyond our 5-mile capacity, which is the same service area from the police department. I believe Station 3 covers both, which is the station like near Lowe's back on Century Circle. So from that standpoint, it is within our service boundaries. We're also covered by our fire protection contract, I believe there. So our fire service would service it regardless of whether it's our call or the county's call. We would help cover the county's call on that as well. It is an unusual circumstance.
Mr. White. And this is kind of out of the way question, but can we then, the city, could we raise our impact fees or taxes so that we could help with the hiring of more police and fire people?
Impact fees can't typically be used for administrative needs such as police services. It's a one-time fee, and usually it's required to be spent on capital needs that address the growth issues presented by them. And we would need to do that in a multi-step process. It would take longer than this annexation would give us. So if we're going to discuss impact fees, we need to set aside 6 months probably to be able to do that, which would make this one difficult to be able to handle in that time frame.
Anyone else? Mr. Conway.
Mayor, I just want to expound on what Mr. Emmerich said about, in particular, police protection. That's come up several times tonight, even prior to this discussion in public input. And, generally at any one given time, there may be 7 officers, particularly on a night shift, that are working. And so envision a scenario that goes something like this. We build this neighborhood and they're way down Cox Ferry Road, and something's happening at your house or my house or Wild Wing or, off Dunn Shortcut Road behind Walmart. That's why they can't get there, because our footprint has gotten so big over the last 3 decades. It's uncontrolled growth. Go in and fill in these donut holes because, and I appreciate what y'all are doing. I'm a business owner too, and you're a job creator, and that's a wonderful thing. And we need people like that are willing to do this, but at what cost to this city? Because this type of growth is not paying for itself. We can't impose impact fees. The homes built, the property values don't generate the income that we need to buy that extra dump truck, or not dump truck, but garbage truck to go down there, to hire that extra police officer to go down there. And we end up in a bind. And, if we could go back, if I was king, if we could go back 20 or 30 years ago and look at some of the areas that we annexed, I wouldn't have done it, because it's putting a huge burden and a huge stress on this community. When you look at the square mileage, and I don't have this figure, but I know it's exponentially huge, the square mileage of Conway city limits per individual, it's huge relative to other communities. And so our taxes aren't high enough to pay for it, and impact fees can't be imposed to cover what we need. And that's the issue that we're facing. Not to mention it's in the middle of a refuge.
Anyone else? Mr. White. May I like to make a motion that we deny first reading? Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Mr. Jordan.
I'll second Mr. White's motion.
We have a properly seconded motion to deny first reading of this ordinance. All in favor with show of hands, please. Motion carries, Ms. Helms, unanimously. Thank you all. Next on the agenda is item 11. We'll hold up just a second while people settle. How you doing?
Sir, can I have any business card, please? Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Don't make sure you use your mic. Sometimes they can't hear us.
That's right. That's right. There it is. Or he could have. He got a setup, but it's not bad.
Item 11. Consideration of a resolution regarding an abandoned building incentive. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, this is a request to sign a resolution concerning this building. Some of you may remember this from several months ago. Third and Laurel LLC intends to rehabilitate this building, and it's located at 1028 Third Avenue, which is the corner of Laurel and Third. They intend to, the future use is going to be office, retail, and residential. This renovation will include 8 apartments on the first, second, and third floor. The building is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, but 66% of the square footage has been vacant or used as storage for at least 5 years. With that, the property owner intends to use the South Carolina Abandoned Building Revitalization Act. And what this does is it creates an incentive for the rehabilitation, renovation, and redevelopment of abandoned buildings in South Carolina. And with that, it provides a procedure where a municipality may, by resolution, certify a site as being abandoned. Robert Lewis, who's the owner of this building, is here tonight, who can answer any specific questions. But basically what he's asking for is for council to approve the mayor to sign a resolution saying that it's been abandoned for 5 years or more, so they can go for these state income tax credits.
Mayor, I move that we approve this said resolution.
Mr. Hyman. We have a properly seconded motion to approve this designation of abandonment. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Ms. Hyman. Item B, discussion on temporary placement of construction dumpster in a right of way.
And yes, this is actually concerning the same project. And as I mentioned before, Robert Lewis, the owner of the building, is here, as well as his contractor, Gene Dawkins. But with this renovation, as you know, it's going to be quite a renovation with a lot of work that has to be done, including brick repair, removal of windows, a lot of exterior painting. And with this, they need a construction dumpster. But as you all know, where this is located, there's no alleys, there's no back access. So what they have requested is to temporarily place a construction dumpster in the right of way. You can see on this map where they'd like to place it, the red shows where the dumpster would be, and that's Laurel Street. And then they've requested to do a yellow, where the yellow is, which would be a construction temporary safety fence for that. But with it being a public city right of way, is something that needed to come before council for consideration.
Am I seeing that correctly as 2 parking spots?
Yes, they said that it would be between 2 and 3 where they want the yellow, where the fence is. There's actually another parking spot closer to the third, but that one's handicapped. So they intend to keep that open. As you can see, it would go all the way to the street. One thing that staff has recommended, and if I remember correctly, and Robert Cooper, you correct me if I'm wrong, Robert has spoken with the contractor about creating some sort of tunnel system, which you see a lot of times in larger cities, where you could still have access and walk through it on the sidewalk. So that is something that staff recommends that the contractor provide.
I move that we allow temporary placement of a construction dumpster in order to allow this restoration to be done. Is there a second? I don't know who was first. Mr. Hyman, we have a properly seconded motion to do so. Mr. Goldfinch.
Have we defined temporary?
And that's why I'd asked for them to come so they could explain that a little longer. What I was told is 5 to 6 months, but Robert, you come on up.
I think the construction's gonna take 7 to 9 months. Hopefully it's gonna be 7 months. We will plan to have some kind of barrier system so it can wall under it. We have 51 months we have. With a lot. A dumpster, one time we thought it would be about 3 months, and then we said we got air for 6 or 7 months. Just the
Thank you.
And along that same question, Mr. Watt, I'll get right back to you. In regards to the same question about defining what temporary is, can the council indicate a time period after which time the owner would need to come back before the council if things were delayed? Okay, thank you. Mr. White.
My issue is about safety. In that same building on, what is it, Third Avenue, there are a lot of kids that go to dance class around the corner there. How safe would that be for them? And lots of time they are parking on Laurel Street and walking around to the Third Avenue side.
Yes, sir. So again, what we anticipate is build some type of tunnel barricade system because Western City will stay in all the 6 weeks of construction period. So people will need to know their own, people need to be able to get in there. So it'll be a covered walkway so people can go on the sidewalk. Most of the time, sometimes we close off the sidewalk, especially on the street. Closed down at all. So we are cognizant of those. School dance, probably that's And but anyway, yes, we've done these type of projects for 20 years, historic projects all over the state. We've done 3 in Horry County in the last 3 years in Refuge. So we met on mistakes in the past. So we know how to do this.
And the building business that's currently on the ground floor, would they be affected in a way?
They will remain a tenant. We will have to pay an agreement to close down from January 15th to March 1st. So their street will also be renovated. And all the water, the sewer, the sprinkler system, all that needs to go through the street. We're going to try to get that done over a 6-week period from January 15th to March 1st.
And this is the cost of improvement. And because of that, I will not rescind my, well, it's already been, didn't we vote on it already? Or we didn't, it's been seconded.
That's right.
Well, in all fairness to everybody, I think that there, some things may come up that are beyond your control, but if I may restate my motion to say that we approve the temporary construction dumpster for, I forget how much time, 6 months?
I think they said 6
For
to
6
7.
months.
Yeah.
And should the need remain longer than that, it would need to come back before the council.
Okay.
We have a properly seconded motion, Mr.
And I
White.
have another question.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Name and notes.
Yes, sir.
And what about parking for the residents in the building where you get the hotel finished?
That's a good question. There's no parking
That's right.
requirements. But as a business owner, we have to provide some type of parking for them. We're trying to work that out like that. We have nothing else to figure that out. The problem will have to go somewhere, at least some parking for our business now. But let me also say this. The plan is that all these state units are going to be short-term rentals. This is very similar to the project we did in North Beach. It used to be the average 5 hours for the beach. Now it's the restaurant group, it's the brewery downstairs, 10 units upstairs. So people will come in for 3 days, usually it's a 3-day minimum.
Some might have 3 days instead of leave, some might come in 2 weeks, some might come in 6 weeks. You know, and that building has no deed parking to it.
Right.
They park in the city parking nearby. And I think initially, you know, most people are going to be parking at night. So we hope that the city parking. If we get into it, and it's not a fair position, again, we'll have to just warn this.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments before we bring a vote? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Item C, consideration of acceptance of a bid for recreation maintenance building. Mr. Smith.
Madam Mayor and Council, I come before you today to get your approval on our maintenance building. Fiscal year 21-22, you approved $150,000 for our maintenance building. We put that out to bid. The 4 bids that came back were Henley's Construction out of Sherrall for $214,000. Bo Hickett Construction out of Charleston, $207,868. Sellers General Construction out of Conway, $198,000, and Homewood Metal out of Conway came in at $186,000. We recommend that you approve the bid for $186,000. You'll notice that it's $36,000 over budget. At the time when we did that, prices for materials were very low. Now they're very, very high. Talking to Mr. Cooper today, Ms. Williams also, we can tighten our belt and we can get it done and get it to where we can find the money in our budget with our line items.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Hyman? Thank you. I second Mr. Benjamin Hammond's motion. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Smith. Item 12 is City Administrator's Report.
Good evening. First, I'd like to officially welcome our 2 newest council members. I greatly look forward to working with each of you for at least the next 4 years. Second, I want to confirm to council and all in attendance that the workshop to discuss the Whittemore Elementary School will be on January 24th at 6 p.m. in this room in this building. 6 p.m. again is the time. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about Christmas. It was a major success this year. I think every event that we did had double or triple the amount of people that we expected to be at those events, starting with the Christmas tree lighting, which we estimate had between 5,000 and 6,000 people. When we had it on the street in 2019 and it was 2-packed, we figured we had 3,000. So that is about twice the crowd that we had at our peak. So we learned a lot from that event, and we've had some ideas on how to improve upon it next time, which is what we try to do each and every year. We had 27,405 people come through the celebration of lights this year. And we did it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of each week. So that is, it's a different way than we've ever done it before. So I don't want to compare it to earlier years. Last year, as you remember, was free. We didn't get a count on it. So it's hard to really compare it to that year. In 2019, we charged $5 a car. So it's not really a fair comparison. So we're going to start the counter over again this year. 27,405 is the number. And we're starting to work on next year's celebration of lights on ways to improve it now. So although we're taking it down, we're trying to figure out ways to improve it at the same time. The train was also a hit again. We had nearly 3,000 riders on the train this year, with over 400 on one night as the peak. That area where the end of the celebration of lights is, it's always been a tricky thing to program. We've tried doing movies there. We've tried music. It just hasn't worked. We've got some ideas on ways to improve it next year as well. And again, we're starting to implement those and get ready for that for next year now, rather than waiting till August or September. The master plan, as you know, we're working on for downtown will also help us with Christmas in that we have a space that we can program and make it more of a permanent function instead of one that we're trying to temporarily plan each year. We do need to do some major work on the train. We used an old tractor to build the train out of, and that old tractor, now that it's had the capacity and the need that we've created on it, is not able to do what it needs to be done. So we're going to put a new tractor in there, an upgraded one, and we'll talk about that at budget retreat, which is my segue into budget retreat talk. The budget retreat is March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And we have internally begun working on that budget already. And as you remember, last year we approved a 2-year budget. What we hope to do at the budget retreat is a brief recap of the budget that would be in place, that will go into place for next fiscal, and then any updates that need to be done to that. Obviously, there's always some tweaking that is needed. There are some things that are unanticipated. Fuel prices are up, material prices are up, so those need to be anticipated. And we'll talk about staffing and things like that that are needed. We're not even sure where we are yet on that, but there'll be some short things like that. But the big picture items should be taken care of. And the rest of the time we hope to spend on the bigger picture, 30,000-foot view stuff, so that we have a better planning going forward into the year. Hometown Legislative Action Day is February 1st. If any of you need a hotel room for that and haven't already spoken to Alicia, please do so ASAP. The second day of the Hometown Legislative Action Day is the Elected Officials Training Institute. So if you're availing yourself of that as well, let us know. As I mentioned the master plan a moment ago, we actually have 2 master planning efforts underway right now. The downtown riverfront consultants will be here February 2nd through 4th. They will be conducting interviews, doing stakeholder meetings and other background research. Council is invited to drop in on February 3rd from 1:30 until 3:30 at the new planning and building department for that session. Now, I'm saying that anticipating that it will be ready and done, but as of right now, that's what we're planning for. Mary Catherine will be sending you an email invite to that as well, so you have more information. The second of our plans is the Trails and Pathways Plan. We'll have a meeting later in the week with those consultants to schedule that same sort of public stakeholder meeting. So I'll get you those dates as soon as they're scheduled. And the last thing I have on my topic list is we've finally received the survey for Smith Jones Pool from our engineers, who are now submitting the final project to DHEC for approval. Once we get DHEC's approval, we'll go out to bid for construction. And then I'll keep you updated on that process as well. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. White.
The Whittemore Elementary School
Yes.
meeting 6:30?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. I did, that's why I asked.
Anyone
Thank you
else?
very much.
Thank you. So I can't start from either end without putting one of our new members on the spot, but I mean, you're one of us now. We'll start on this end. Ms. Butler, you have any input that you would like to bring?
Well, to start off with, I would like to say that I'm excited to be having an opportunity to serve the citizens of Conway in this capacity, and I'm truly looking forward to working with all of you in the years to come. And again, thank you for your welcome. Thank you for all of your help and assistance so far, and I am really elated about working with you all. Also, I want to thank those of you who did come, for those who came and shared their voices. Appreciate them, and I look forward to the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Mr. Jordan.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Giving it all away.
Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I've said this for a long time, and I think I'll keep saying it. You mentioned in some of your opening remarks, some of the people that you've served with over the years, and I know some of them better than others. I've worked better with some of them than others, but all of them have served this community. And I'll tell you, each and every time, I just feel like, the best is yet to come. And so I'm excited to be on here and work with you all. And so thank you for that opportunity. And let's get her done.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Mr. White.
Oh, again, we too would like to welcome the new members and Mr. Goldfinch back. Also, for the new people and maybe for us as well, whenever we go to the masks meeting, we usually have a shirt with our city logo on. Can they be privy to having some of those as well?
Absolutely. We'll get to work on that.
Thank you. And also business cards.
Okay. And with that, the municipal association gives lots of training throughout the year. Please try to get in as many of those trainings as you can. Some of them are online as well. So try to get involved with that as well. Last meeting that we had, that was the special call meeting, I was not here on purpose. And I did let the media know why I was not here, because I didn't think that was fair for us to break our own rules and then give this person the authority to do what he wanted, even though it was wrong. So that was why I was in protest. So with that, I thank you for just listening to that. But at the same time, something different. The Christmas lights, celebration of lights, could we not include the Mill Pond Road, the Mill Pond Rec Center, the rec center on Mill Pond to have some lights out there as well during the Christmas holiday?
We had some lights out there. We can always add more. Yeah.
More.
Adding power is always the tricky part, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay. And lastly, do that nowadays that the COVID is coming back again in some form or fashion with the Omicron virus. We need to be certain that we are taking care of our frontline people, the ones that that they are at the front desk answering questions, et cetera. In essence, have everybody wear masks when they come into the city buildings so that they can be protected from the people that are working the desk. They can be protected from whomever's coming in. And also to encourage the wearing of masks, not saying mandate, encourage, so that we can protect all on, because they're the first ones there, we're not there. So I would like to make sure that they are protected in some form or fashion. And I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And Happy New Year to everyone.
And now the gentleman I'm just meeting, Mr. Benjamin Hyman. Is yours not? Benjamin Alexander Hyman, no less.
Again, I said this at the last meeting, around Christmas time and really from Halloween until the new year, our town is definitely something to be very proud of, and I know our staff works really hard. So again, thank you all so very much. I was just saying, Happy New Year, everybody. I know it's a few days after the new year, but Happy New Year, and I look forward to working with our new members. And that's all.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Helm.
Well, today, I'm glad it's over, but true.
That
was a great day. It really was. I appreciate all the staff's help. I asked a bunch of dumb questions. You'll probably get a bunch more, but I got to learn the process. And when I asked the question, I apologize for that. We'll work through that. But I did kind of want to ask a question tonight and try to get that out there. Kudos to you for handling the meeting real well. When things got hairy, we handled it, and that's what we do. We work as a team, and I appreciate all your help.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have much except to say that everything that I've seen, like what's his name? Mr. Benjamin Alexander Hyman said, from Halloween on, great source of pride driving downtown Conway. I've had people come up to me to say that they drive through 3 counties to come to Conway just to see our decorations. It goes without saying that the lights from the water tower are just astounding. Rumor has it that if you're on the top of the sky wheel on the Atlantic Ocean in Myrtle Beach, that you can see it from there, and that people on airplanes point us out pretty quickly. So I hope they're not already down, but
they're coming down.
They're
And
coming
I know
down.
you've asked me to keep them up, but the lights we use can't withstand a year's worth of usage. In fact, the wind today has stretched them out. So we need to take them down, and otherwise we will have to replace them every year. And we have at least one strand out, and it'll cost us $1,000 to change a strand. So,
on that subject, and I'll be brief,
Yeah.
at least one radio station has had a contest. The question is, how many light bulbs were there? Now, you probably know, has anybody inquired of staff who really knows what that number is?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So they were basing their winning.
Well, I'm
on-
assuming the radio station did, because also Daisy Fair Flowers also had a contest.
Oh, really?
And And if the radio station just used their feed, they would know what the number is.
Okay,
The
awesome.
the
I just
number is
wanna make-
9,600.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, anyway, it was beautiful and I can't wait till next year when it comes up again. I did want to say something about our Christmas decorations. Last year, Collins Park was lit up very brightly. This year, Collins Park was frightfully dark. I'm told that some of the gazebos and such have become a place where vagrants sort of hang out at night. And there are a lot of residential areas very close to there. And it seems to me that we want to make sure that our citizens and visitors are safe if they walk in that area. So, and I'm not suggesting an awful lot of Christmas lighting, but I mean, it's just dark.
We
need
actually
to
have
do
walked
something.
that park with Santee Cooper and they have programmed soon, hopefully. If you've not been out there recently, a portion of the trail that goes around it has the streetlights in it, like we have downtown, but only a portion. For some reason, the entirety of the walking path does not have lights. So that's something we're trying to remedy. The area around the gazebo is extremely dark. We're also looking at some lighting options for that. And there's already been improved lights put in on the basketball court. And we're looking to change out the tennis court lights with something that'll work better, be more efficient, and will not be on the demand timers that don't function all the time. So all that is in the works. We're just waiting on Santee Cooper to implement.
Good. There are some areas on the city-owned portion of Smith Jones that gets pretty dark.
All the parks
also.
need the same treatment.
Okay.
So we're gonna do Collins Park, we'll do Smith Jones and Sherwood all
Wonderful.
at the same time.
That's all good news. I had one other thing. I got distracted and I've forgotten. But thank you all thank you staff for all that you do. You make us look really well. I walk in places and they say, oh man, you're just such a good mayor. And I confess to them that frequently what I say is to the staff is, I wish that was my idea, but it so seldomly is, if ever. Has it ever been my idea? I don't know. Maybe not. But you make us look good and we certainly appreciate what you do for this city. With that said, we are going to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Mr. Goldfinch.
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Hyman. We've got a properly seconded motion to go into executive session, the purpose for which is to, if you'll allow me, please.